Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome, extra special honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, gather around the Thanksgiving Day table with me as we celebrate our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, a little bit of television, stuff like that. And I do want to say here right off the top, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, all of my American friends, international friends who might be around the world, whose roots are here in the United States. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. As a Canadian who already celebrated Thanksgiving, real Thanksgiving, in October, I want to say Thanksgiving to all you guys. And thanks for making today a part of your day. Now, I thought what better way to start off Thanksgiving than by getting together and talking about our favorite things in the world, being thankful for the movies and the stories that we have in our lives and the things that connect us to a lot of our friends have been the object of a lot of the conversations we have with friends, family, strangers, movies, TV, things like that. And it's good to be here. And listen, there's also an added little bonus of a special thing today for me personally. As we go over and look on my website right now, we look over on my YouTube Creator Studio. Let's bring that up. Look at that, guys. 214,000 subscribers. Now, I set up this event last night. I set up today's live stream last night as we were at like 199,940 or something like that. So I just said, you know what? I bet by morning we'll be at 200,000. So we'll just call it the 200,000 thing. And listen, I just wanted to say to all of you guys, first of all, let me say this. I am very aware, very, very, very aware that there are probably Ukrainian fart bubble YouTube channels that have more subscribers than 200,000. I am fully aware of that. I understand. Now everybody is going around looking for Ukrainian fart bubble YouTube channels. I just started a whole craze on YouTube right there. But I just wanted to say that while I understand that we have, there are many, many, many websites, and in the grand comparison of things, the John Campea YouTube channel is very small and very tiny, and I understand that compared to a lot of other sites. You got to understand, there's a particular sense of satisfaction that comes from being able to hit little landmarks like this, and one of the main reason why is because you got to understand from the very beginning, all the way back to the AMC movie talk days. And actually at first it was called, we called it For Your Consideration, was the name of the show that we started with. And it was always my vision from when I started the very first podcast about movies, and it was just called the Movie Blog Audio Edition. It was always my goal to kind of make SportsCenter for film fans. Because I realized, because I'm a big, huge sports guy, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be working for some local ESPN radio station doing sports punditry. But I remember the whole goal for me was, I remember thinking, listen, when me and my friends talk about movies, and this was just me and my friends, we don't talk like our tours. We talk like sports fans would talk about sports. And I remember thinking, I would love to do like a, Sports Center, but talking about movies instead of sports. And that was always kind of my guiding principle, my North Star, if you will, in putting a show together. And then when we moved on to AMC, and we were starting the YouTube channel at AMC. Now, obviously, AMC Theaters is a big, major brand. So YouTube actually extended an invitation to me to go down and meet with one of their consultants. And we had already started sort of doing our things, and our shows were just like, I think at the time, For Your Consideration was just like over a half hour. I think it was like a half hour, 35, 40 minutes, whatever, something like that. And I remember meeting with YouTube and them telling me that stuff is not what people watch on YouTube. And they said, you got to make your videos about 3 minutes or shorter. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. And I remember, this is a true story. I remember we had already done press junket interviews, right? So like I would go to the next movie by Daniel Craig, and I would sit down with Daniel Craig for 3 minutes, and then we'd put that 3-minute interview up on on the YouTube channel. And the guy even said to me, I remember, and he was trying to be helpful. I'm not bashing on the guy. He was totally trying to be helpful, and I appreciated him being generous with his time. But I remember this YouTube rep looking at me saying, and as a matter of fact, these interviews you do with these celebrities, they're 3 minutes, but do you think you can cut them up into smaller segments? I'm like, what? He said, yeah, like I noticed in this video you did with Daniel Craig, you asked him 3 questions. Maybe instead of putting up the whole full, real long 3-minute video, maybe you could cut up each individual section and each video be about a minute. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. And it's not because he was wrong, because he very well was probably right. He was probably right. If we had taken that Daniel Craig interview and chopped it up into 3 1-minute videos instead of a big, long 3-minute video, we probably would have got more views. So he wasn't wrong. But I just remember thinking to myself, that's not what I'm trying to build. I'm not trying to build what will be the most successful. I'm trying to build the type of shows and programming that I would be interested and hopefully do it in such a way that would get as many viewers as possible, but without sacrificing that kind of core vision of just being a place where film fans can get together and just have longer form conversations and discussions about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news. And over the years, I have been recontacted by YouTube reps and things like that, and big MCN reps and things like that, and telling me, hey, you got to make your videos like under 5 minutes. And I'm like, I ain't going to do that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make them 2 hours. 2 hours. Sometimes 2.5 hours. They keep telling me you do 5 minutes. All right. Can you do some more sensational headlines? No. You should do reaction videos, John. You should do reaction videos because reaction videos get a thing. I'm not going to do reaction videos. Not that there's anything wrong with shorter form content or reaction videos. I watch a number of online reactors, and I think reaction videos can be awesome, but it's just not me. And so I have constantly bucked the system of what I was always told would get more views, and just did and tried to make the content that I myself would watch. And I know that means that we're not going to get all the viewers in the world. I know if we don't do a lot of hate videos, and if we don't do a lot of reactions, and if we don't do a lot of unboxings. By the way, I like unboxing videos too very much. It's just not me. That's all. I knew if we did all those things, we could get more views, but I wanted to stay true to that original idea I had about I want to make a show that reflects the way me and the people I know talk about movies. And I got to believe that if me and my friends talk about movies that way, I got to believe that there are other people out there who would value talking about movies that way. Maybe not everybody, maybe not even a huge slew of people, maybe not even the majority. And believe me when I tell you, as somebody who has made pre-recorded videos and live videos, doing live video is 10 times harder than doing pre-recorded videos. It's 10 times harder because you're constantly talking. You have to think on your feet constantly. And me, I don't have an engineer, so I'm doing all the camera switching, the camera work, the audio, all that kind of stuff by myself. You're trying to come up with 1,000 different facts at a time in a day, and you can't just pause, edit, and then come back to it. It's tough, but that's what I've chosen to do because that's what I enjoy. And I had to believe that if I enjoyed it, then maybe there would be some other people that would enjoy it too. And I tell you all of that because while it is absolutely true, and I'm always cognizant that 200,000 is actually not a big deal compared to a lot of the legitimately big YouTube sites, I am still but a very little fish in a very big pond. And I am still a fucking nobody from Canada. But I'm proud to be that nobody. And I'm proud to be that little fish in a big pond, knowing that where we have come, 200,000 subscribers, we're going to hit 100 million views on the YouTube channel in the coming weeks. We've come doing it the way I've always wanted to do it. And maybe I've been right to do it that way. Maybe I've been wrong to do it that way. I've made mistakes along the way. I will make more mistakes along the way. That much is clear. But to know that we've gotten where we are, as humble as it may be and as small as it may be, we've gotten here being true, I feel, to that original vision I had for the type of content I wanted to create. And I fooled around and tried other things, and I've experimented. You know, I didn't close my mind off to reaction videos. I tried doing a couple, and I just realized this just isn't me. Other people do it great, but it's not for me. Just like makeup tutorial videos. There are people who do it wonderfully, and they're fantastic at it, but I'd be very bad at doing a makeup tutorial, so I don't do that. Anyway, so I just wanted to take a second here, guys, on Thanksgiving Day, on this this isn't going to be a normal episode of the John Campea Show, which you can already tell. This is just really a gather around the table, talk a little bit, and I knew that the people who would be here on the show today on Thanksgiving would be the most hardcore of the core viewers of the show. And I wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you to all of you guys who have allowed me to make the type of channel and to make the type of content that I had a vision for making. And I ain't even all the way there yet. I still have a long way to go to really get to the vision that I had. But you guys have allowed me to do that, making the type of content that all the experts told me nobody would watch. And you guys have allowed us on our own level to be very successful at it. Maybe not very successful compared to some, but on our own level to become very successful at it. And I sit here today, you know, Ann and I last night, Ann and I had been talking about reflecting back on the conversation she and I had in making my decision to leave my former job to work from home and make YouTube videos on my own. And a lot of the big questions we had, I mean, I'm always willing to bet on myself. I'm always willing to bet on myself. But there were a lot of question marks and a lot of doubts and whatever. And to sit here now, a little over 2 years later, to still be here, talking about the things that we love, movies and the art of filmmaking and television and storytelling, to still be here and to, within the span of just a few weeks, cross 200,000 subscribers, and we're about to cross the 100 million view mark, which we've accomplished faster than I did even at AMC. So that feels pretty good. Fills me with an overwhelming sense of gratitude to all of you guys who have stuck around, because so many of you guys who write in, you write in saying, John, been watching since the AMC Closet days. John, been watching since you did your Man of Steel review. John, been around since the movie blog days. You know, to know that we've come across and been so lucky to have members of our film fan community be on this journey with Ann and I, with us on this journey. Not just going back weeks, and we love those of you who just joined us in the last few weeks. Not just going back months, and we love those of you who've just joined us in the last few months. But going back years and years and years. And it's because of you guys in our community that I'm able to be here today and do the things we do. So I know I'm kind of harping on this a lot. I get it, but seriously, guys, you know, and you guys have no idea how many people told me this was all going to fail. You have no idea. And to still be here, and it's thanks to you, thank you very much. And on that note, hell, guys, we hit 200,000, which is great. Tiny compared to some, I get it, but it's still something for me, for a guy who puts up 2.5-hour videos instead of 15-minute videos. For a guy who wants to do, you know, box office analysis instead of talking about who Kim Kardashian is dating now. For a guy who likes to talk about the evolving spectrum of streaming and the shifting cultural tide of where we and how we consume our entertainment instead of the latest hate video. That is something that can't happen unless there are viewers who value that. And I thank you guys for that very much. With that said, too, I want to mention something else to all you guys who are watching. You guys thought I was going to cry, didn't you? I almost did. I'm not going to lie. I want to mention one other thing. We've crossed the 200,000 subscriber mark now. Thank you to everybody. But there's another milestone that's coming, and we're going to hit it in the next few weeks. And that is the milestone of 100 million views. And as I said, we are going to throw a little party. It's just going to be a little party. Not as big and grand with live streaming and everything like we did at AMC, because I don't have AMC's resources. But for those of you, I wanted to announce this, for those of you who live in or around the Los Angeles area, or will be visiting in or around the Los Angeles area around the middle of December, we are going to be throwing what I'm calling an evening with John Campea, 100 million views of a nobody. We're going to have a special live event on Tuesday, December 17th, at the Victory Theater Center, and that's in Burbank, California. It'll go from about 7 to 11. Doors open at 6:30, and you can see a link there. And you know what? I don't have it down in the description below right now, but before the end of the show, or maybe just after the show is done, I will add a link down there as well. And but you can see the shortened URL that you can go to get tickets now. And it's just going to be, it's a very simple evening. It's going to be just a bunch of us in a room. It's a little theater. I'm going to be on stage, tell them some stories about where we got. Going to be taking Q&A from the audience. I got a few special friends that are going to be coming along as well. I can already tell you Christian Harloff will be there and whatnot. I'm going to have a few guests that'll be there as well. And then we'll just spend a couple hours meeting each other, and we'll do photos and whatever. It's just going to be a fun, nice, relaxing little evening. Just a fun, nice, relaxing little evening. And I hope there's a bunch of you guys who are going to be able to get there by then. And you know what? Here's the funny thing. We should cross 100 million by the time December 17th rolls around. But I mean, we might not. We might still be like 1,000 views short. I mean, I don't care. We'll just celebrate the milestone on that day. Whether or not we've actually crossed the finish line by that day or not, that's irrelevant. But yes, I hope a lot of you guys will come out and join us for that. Okay. With that down, let's talk about a couple of items I wanted to discuss here before we just spend the rest of the day taking your live questions that you guys have sent in. The first thing, I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about the box office projections for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. And I also want to talk about The Irishman, which I finally got around to watching yesterday. So I've now watched The Irishman, and we're going to get to that in just a second. So first of all, let's start with this. Let's start with the box office projections for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Right now, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, we're still about a month away. Just a little under a month away. They're projecting $205 to $210 million as an opening. There's two interesting things about that number. Interesting thing number one, if it does stay in that range, 205 to 210, it will make it the lowest opening of the three new episodic Star Wars films. So it'll mean that Star Wars: The Force Awakens will have opened higher, and it means The Last Jedi will have opened higher. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we'll talk about that in a second. If that happens, it would just follow the same pattern that we've seen in Star Wars, right? Star Wars was bigger than Empire Strikes Back. Empire was bigger than Return of the Jedi. Whatever. But here's the second interesting thing. And while the idea of if it makes 205 to 210, most places are focusing on that aspect of it. That, oh my gosh, it would be the lowest of the new Star Wars movies, at least the new episodic Star Wars movies, which is true. That's true. There's no getting around that. It is. But there's another interesting fact here that I think nobody is talking about, and I think it's worth drawing some attention to. If Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker ends up, let's say it doesn't even go higher than 210, okay? Which a lot of these big movies will exceed their projections, but let's say it doesn't go above 210. Let's say it just comes in around the top end of that mark, around 205, 210, comes in around 210, okay? Lowest grossing opening weekends of any of the new Star Wars movies. But I want you to notice something. If it does open around the $209, $210 million mark, look at what that does. That would make Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker the fifth largest opening weekend in cinematic history. That's interesting, but it's not the most interesting. What is the most interesting is if, and that's a huge if, but if Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker does come in the top end and comes in around 209 and 210, not only would that make it the fifth largest opening weekend box office in cinematic history, but it would mean that 3 of the top 5 all-time opening weekends in cinematic history would be Star Wars films. and all new Star Wars films. Once Rise of Skywalker comes out, that will make 5 new Star Wars films that have come out in the Disney era. 5. Okay? 5. And out of the 5, 3 of them would be in the top 5 all-time opening weekends. The other 2 spots, the number 1 and the number 2 spots, held by Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War. Out of 22 or 23 MCU films we're at right now, out of 22 or 23 MCU films, 2 of the spots are Marvel films in the top 5. 3 of them out of 5 films would be Star Wars. Now, of course, the most important positions, number 1 and number 2, are held by the MCU films. Can't ignore that. But I just think it's very interesting that should it come in on the higher end, we are going to be in a position now where out of the 5 Star Wars films that the Disney companies put out with Lucasfilm, 3 of them will be in the all-time top 5 box office. That's impressive. So yes, no getting around it. There's no getting around it that it would be at 209, 210, the lowest opening of the 3 new Star Wars films. It would still put it in the top 5 of all time. And while everybody seems to have been focusing on that one aspect of it, which is true, which is total truth, everybody seems to be ignoring the other aspect of it about what an insanely huge accomplishment that would be. What an insanely huge accomplishment that would be. And I just find that to be very interesting. So we'll see. For all we know, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker may come out and blow that $210 million mark away. Maybe it'll come in 225. Who knows? Maybe it'll come in way under. Maybe it'll come in around 185 or something like that. Even then, it'll be in the top 10 all-time opening weekends, but whatever. So maybe it'll come way high. Maybe it'll come in way low. We won't know for a few weeks. I just found it interesting that if it does come in around these projections, what that kind of represents on both sides of the aisle. I just think that's kind of interesting. All right. Listen, with that down, let's talk about one more thing here. And the one other thing I want to talk about here today is The Irishman. And I'm going to bring up a page here because I just want to have it here. So I finally got around to watching The Irishman last night. I got around to watching The Irishman. And I got to say, there are 2 things that really stand out to me about The Irishman. The first thing is that it is truly wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It is a fantastic film. Absolutely fantastic. I loved it. It is Martin Scorsese operating at the peak of his power. I'm not saying it's the best movie he's ever made, but just the master's hand that is brought to bear on this movie is utterly, ridiculously fantastic. I was glued to the screen. I was enamored with the characters. Robert De Niro gives, I'm not going to say the best performance of his career, but the best performance I've seen him give in years. De Niro gives like one of the best performances of his career in years that I've seen. Joe Pesci has not lost a step. Not a step. He's great in this. Al Pacino, completely fantastic in this. Anna Paquin has one line. It was so weird seeing Anna Paquin in like 20 scenes and she has like one line. Anyway. The acting's phenomenal. The direction's phenomenal. The story is phenomenal. All that kind of stuff. But I got to say this too. And I feel like there are people who are afraid to say this because the movie's so great, and it is great, and I love it, and it's in my top 10. I need to sit down and soak in it a bit more before I figure out where exactly in my top 10 it fits, but it's up there. But while there have been a bunch of people that are going, hey, Irishman's awesome, it is a little unnecessarily long, sure, but it's awesome. I really feel like people are afraid to really go into that point. This movie was ridiculously self-indulgently long. This is not a movie that could have shaved 10 minutes out. This is a movie that easy could have shaved a full half hour or more out of this movie, and this movie wouldn't have missed a beat. There are so many scenes and moments that happened that as I reflected after it was done, because it finished playing and I sat in my living room just pondering it and thinking about it and going back over the film a bunch and realizing this just easily, without even having to think hard, a whole slew of different scenes that weren't necessary to the film and didn't really add to anything in the film. And if anything, just slowed the film down. It is an obnoxiously overlong movie. And I'm not saying that because it's 3.5 hours. Some movies can be 3.5 hours, and that's the perfect length for it. But Irishman, as brilliant as it is, and I can't emphasize that point enough, I loved this film. It is obnoxiously long. Like, too long, because there's a lot of stuff in this movie that simply didn't need to be in this movie. For all the other stuff that's in the movie, the lion's share of the stuff in this movie, to maintain the brilliance of those scenes and the full impact of those scenes. Like, sometimes filmmakers are throwing a little scene here and there because they say, you know, just doing this scene adds this one little thing to this upcoming scene. But I really don't think that's the case here. I think, and I can't help but wonder, after finally watching The Irishman, if part of the reason why so many studios passed on it is because maybe, I don't know, Scorsese was refusing to budge on his runtime. And I'm sorry, that's one of the decisions he made that was wrong. He should have shortened the runtime because there was a lot of unnecessary stuff in them that just didn't need to be there to further your story. But that aside, I swear to God, that is the only quibble I have with this movie. I have no other notes. None. When the music is used, it's used to perfection. The cinematography is breathtaking. The character dynamics, insane. The way Scorsese layers in details into the story, even if it's just a little thing of when you see a random character and all of a sudden, up on the screen pops a bunch of text about them, their life, how they died, and how brutally I mean, it's just little things like that that creates this package of like, wow, this feels like old school filmmaking and watching it at its best. And you know, it's funny because we're living in a time right now when Scorsese is taking a lot of crap, and that's his own damn fault for all the crap he was saying. But man, it feels good to just feel good about Scorsese. It feels good to feel good about Scorsese. And what a film. Guys, if you have not watched Irishman, you got to watch it. It's really incredible, but I'm not going to let it off the hook by just saying, yeah, maybe it's... No. It's obnoxiously too long. It is flagrantly too long. It is pretentiously too long. It is clearly overly self-indulgent too long. This movie didn't need to be the length that it was. That aside, I swear that is the only flaw of this movie. That's like it. There's nothing. I can't give you anything else to even remotely nitpick about. I mean, some people want to talk about sometimes the CG de-aging was a little bit wonky. And was it? Okay, sure. I'll give you that. Some of the de-aging felt a little bit wonky. But let's not let that get in the way from us also recognizing it is some of the most remarkable. We're watching a 30-year younger Joe Pesci on screen and believing it, even though it gets a little wonky now and again. I mean, where it's come, it's amazing. And I feel like we should just, I get it, there's a little bit of wonkiness, but I feel the same way like I did about Rogue One when they redid Grand Moff Tarkin and even the Leia scene. It's like, is it a little bit wonky? Sure, but why are we focusing on the fact that it's a little bit wonky when we should be focusing on, oh my God, look what they did. You know what it reminds me of? Here's a good analogy. It's like Jesus comes along and takes a big jug of water and turns it into wine. That's a miracle. That's unbelievable. How the hell? How did he do that? That's insane. But then somebody coming along and taking a sip of the wine and going, it's a little sweet. Who cares if it's a little sweet? He just turned water into wine. Yeah, but you know, it's got a little bit of an aftertaste. It's a little too sweet. What? And that's what I feel like now, having seen Irishman, when I see people talking about, you know, CGI gets a little wonky. Why are we focused on that? Look at the incredible visual miracle that they're pulling off in this movie with a 30-year-old younger Al Pacino and Robert. Yes, it is. But oh my God, look what they did. That's how I feel like. That's how I feel like. I feel like Jesus turned water into wine, and we're complaining that it's a little bit sweet. But yeah, to me it worked. To me it worked. It just, and the good far outweighed the bad. So anyway, there's that to me. Okay, guys, listen. That's all I wanted to talk about here today. I wanted to just go on and drone on and wax poetic about how thankful I am for all of you guys. And I want to talk a little bit about the Star Wars thing. I want to talk a little bit about Irishman. But now that that's down, let's just spend the rest of the day that we've got here and take the live questions that you guys have been sending in. So let's jump over to it and get right to it. All right. Willow writes in, Happy American Thanksgiving. Thank you, Willow. So what was the play that Anne wanted to go see because of the really sexy guy from Mayans MC? Okay, so here's the thing. Anne and I, Anne bought us tickets to a play at the Geffen Theater over by UCLA. And she goes, don't forget, we're going to go to this movie tonight. I'm like, okay, what's the movie about? Or what's our play? What's the play about? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, well, why are we going to go see it? Oh, because Danny Pino's in it. Danny Pino is a guy in Mayans MC. And whenever he's on screen, Anne kind of swoons a bit. And Danny Pino was in this play. So I'm like, okay, fine, let's go watch it. And it was Key Largo. And if you recognize the name Key Largo, it is a play based on the movie. What I didn't know when we got there was that Tony Plana, who is also, you'll if you don't know the name Tony Plana, you look him up, you'll recognize him. But anyway, he was also in Mayans MC. Him and Danny Pino were a part of the Galindo Cartel in Mayans MC. So it's like, and I got to talk to them afterwards. And I'm like, this is awesome seeing a cartel reunion on stage. But what I also didn't know, as the play was starting, coming down the stairs halfway through one of the scenes was Andy Garcia. And Ann and I we had front row. We were sitting in the front row. And it was a wonderful night. And it was a wonderful play. And they actually did a quick Q&A, and I got to sit there and talk with Andy Garcia for a bit. I got to talk to Tony Plana a bit and Danny Pino, and it was a wonderful, wonderful night. Had a great time. And if you're in the LA area, I would suggest seeing if you can get to see that show because it was really, really fun. Anyway, thanks for asking, Willow. All right, let's see. Unkagus, I hope I'm saying that right, writes, Hi, been loving the show since the AMC days. Thank you so much. With all the Eastern philosophy in Star Wars, could Baby Yoda be a Dalai Lama type of figure of reincarnation a la the Golden Child, or does Yoda being a Force ghost at the same time preclude that possibility? I think that very much precludes that possibility. That precludes that possibility. We know Master Yoda's still around as a Force ghost. Now, whenever you ask a question, whenever you put the word could or the word ever, the answer is always yes. Could Baby Yama be a Dalai Lama type figure of reincarnation? Sure, could. But I think you pointed out yourself in the message that the fact that Master Yoda himself is still around in a different form, but still around, is nonetheless, I think, precludes that possibility, at least for the most part. Like, just because we see a baby human, we don't jump to a conclusion. Could that be the reincarnated other dead guy? Well, remember, Yoda is a species. We don't see a lot of a species, but he's a species. So let's keep our eye on that, Anka. Okay. Ditto Cortez writes, see that American? Give him a hug. This line made me LOL for 2 seconds before recoiling in horror. Love that Jojo Rabbit. Made me feel so many different emotions in a short succession. It may be on my all-time favorite movie list. And it is still, after watching Knives Out and Ford v Ferrari and Parasite and now The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit is still my number one film of the year. And you're right, Ditto. That's one of the amazing things. The way Taika Waititi was able so quickly to take us from one emotion into another emotion so abruptly, yet so seamlessly, was just really incredible filmmaking. Absolutely incredible filmmaking, and I absolutely loved it on that level. I'm glad you did too. All right, next up, Film Boss writes, "Hey yo, in Australia, our biggest cinema chain event is playing Rise of Skywalker 50 times a day, and in its opening week. Only 2 of those sessions are in 3D at 10:30 a.m. and 3:20. I really appreciate that they don't force 3D on us and side with the consumer." Well, that's good to know. I didn't even know that Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, that 3D was going to be an option. That sucks. Because now I know some of the theaters, like all the other theaters, are going to be sold out. And if you want to see Rise of Skywalker tonight, you got to see it in 3D. I hate that. But that's great, Film Boss. And okay, 50 times a day. Now, I'm assuming, I'm going to go out on a wild ledge here, Film Boss, and I'm going to assume that that means like the entire building will be showing it 50 times a day, not one screen, because that's physically impossible. But hey, kudos to, what is it called? Event. Kudos to Event Cinemas for minimizing, just having something there for people who do like 3D screenings, which ain't much, but there are some people that do. So kudos to them for having a couple of screening options, but understanding the vast majority of the audience does not want 3D and giving us the majority of the choice. I appreciate that. Well done, Event Cinemas. All right, Benny95 writes, "Hey, John. Hope you're keeping well this morning. I am so far. What happens when a director-producer pitches films and they get greenlit but then flop? What do those conversations look like? Do those filmmakers move on to other studios? Who would want to hire them?" Well, see, here's the thing, Benny. All a producer and a film director can do is make the best movie that they can. That's all they can do. That's all that's within their power. Because contrary to what a lot of film fans think, directors don't make the trailers. There's a very, 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 very small fragment of a percentage of times that they do. But for the vast majority of the times, the directors have nothing to do with the marketing. Nothing. They don't make the trailers for the most part, most of the time. They don't make the trailers. They don't do any of the marketing. They don't sell the movie. All they can do is make the best movie possible. So when that happens, Benny, it has to bring up the question, what was the reason for the flopping of this film? Was it because it was a bad movie and nobody wanted to see it because it was bad and the word of mouth came out that it was bad and the critics said it was bad and blah? Is that what caused it to flop? If so, well, then yeah, it'll hurt the reputation of the filmmakers. However, if you're making a film like, I don't know, John Carter of Mars. Sorry, John Carter. If you're making John Carter and you're Andrew Stanton, and you make a wonderful movie that had one of the worst marketing campaigns in the history of marketing campaigns, well done, Disney marketing campaign department. You really screwed the pooch, and you screwed Andrew Stanton in the process. Anyway, when it is clear that it was the marketing, that they just failed to sell, the studio failed to sell the movie to the audience, they realized that wasn't the filmmaker. All the filmmakers can do is make a good movie. And if the flopping of a movie is due to the poor quality of the movie, that's one conversation. If a movie stumbles and fails, like look at Goodfellas. Not Goodfellas, Nice Guys. Shane Black, that movie flopped. But that didn't sour the studio on him because they knew he made a great film. They knew he made a great film. We just didn't sell it. We didn't get people out to it. That was our job. His job, make a movie as good as possible. Our job, sell that movie. Get the audience to get excited about that movie and get them out. So like, if you hire a house painter to come in and paint your house, and then you don't like the sofa that's in your living room, you can't blame the house painter for that. That wasn't the house painter's decision. The house painter just came in to paint the house. Did they do their job? That's all you worry about. But yeah, Benny, it all depends on the kind of what brought it all about. And then it also, even if it was a bad movie, then it depends on that filmmaker's track record. Like if that filmmaker's made, 10 movies and 7 of them were great, well then yeah, you still work with that director again. But again, there's a lot of different variables. All right, Mike C writes, Just saw Knives Out. I love it. It's my third favorite movie of the year. Wow. Expectations subverted. I think the competition for Best Director is off the charts this year, but I pray it gets a Best Original Screenplay nomination. I don't know that Rian Johnson's going to get a Best Director nomination just because there's only 5 spots, and it is stacked this year. It is stacked. So I don't know that he's going to get a Best Director nomination. I do suspect, and I don't know for sure, I suspect Knives Out will get a Best Picture nomination, depending how many films get nominated. It is one of my top 5 best films of the year. To me, it's my number 3 right now. I loved this film. It was so much, I was expecting it to be good. It was so much better than I was wanting it to be. And you're right, the screenplay is incredible. And I hope out of any of them, I really do hope it gets a screenplay nod, because this movie's fantastic, and the script was wonderful, wonderfully acted, beautifully directed, great story. I just enjoyed Knives Out very, very much. I'm glad you liked it too, Mike. All right, Timbula the Spider Monkey writes, my local cinema in Australia does it right. Say the theater opens the doors at 7 p.m. Then they run 4 to 5 minutes ads of local businesses, maximum 20 seconds each. Okay. 3 to 4 actual ads up to a minute each. 2 trailers, 3 minutes each, and then the movie starts at about 7:10. Not bad. Not bad. Way better than the here in North America where it's like 7 p.m. showtime. It's 7:21. It's 7:29, and the movie still hasn't started. What the hell is going on? Now, I still believe, I've been saying this for a while, there should be a law that mandates movie theaters give 2 times. Showtime, which is when you start your trailers and all that kind of stuff. But I think there should be a law that they should actually make it publicly known what time the actual movie starts. Showtime 7 p.m., film starts 7:31. Great. If you did that, then no complaints from me about how many ads and trailers you want to play. I have no complaints if you actually advertise the actual start time of the movie. But barring that, yeah, you're right, Timbula. Your theater does it much better than ours. Your theater does it much better than ours. All right. Brendan writes, sends in a really large super chat. Thank you for that, Brendan. We appreciate the support, man. Brendan writes, hey, John, as a huge fan of Martin Scorsese, I was more than excited a few years back when it was announced that he was working with Leonardo DiCaprio to make The Devil in the White City. But since then, I haven't heard anything about it. Is it happening? You know what? It's funny because I just had a conversation about that the other day. I honestly don't know. Hold on a second. Let me bring this up. Devil... because I remember when we talked about it on one of my shows, what was it called? Devil in the White City. Let me see what they're saying about it. That's funny. Okay, so here's what I'm getting. I didn't know that. I overlooked this. Hulu is developed. I didn't know this. This went over under my radar. Hulu is developing a series based on the book The Devil in the White City, Murder, Magic, and Madness in the Fair That Changed America. So does that mean they abandoned? Yeah, because when I go to IMDb right now and I look up Devil in the White City, it's being talked about as a Hulu TV show. But as a Hulu TV show, they're still listing Leonardo DiCaprio as being attached, but there's no other information. So at this point, I have no idea if they're moving forward with it. But you're right, Brendan. I remember that was a huge bit of news when they first announced that. I didn't know they've switched focuses to making it a TV show. I had no idea. Oh, well. I mean, let's wait and see. But that was one I was excited about too for a while. And then you're right. It just kind of disappeared. Nobody talked to it. So is it actually going to move to Hulu? I don't know. Like I said, it's listed, but there's no information with it. So we'll have to wait and see. As soon as I know more, Brennan, you guys will know more. And by the way, if you find out more, please email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com and let me know what you find out, because I would love to know more too. All right. We're out here. Film Boss writes, yesterday, a viewer wrote in asking if we will have 10 Oscar nominees this year. The way the Academy calculates its Best Picture noms makes it almost mathematically impossible to get 10 nominees, which is why we've been seeing so many 9, usually 8 nominations. Yes, but it is a possibility. it can get up to 10. And we actually, I was one of the producers on a little segment on how the Oscar voting works. And I would encourage you to go and look up that YouTube video. It's narrated by Ken Knapsack. And it's very informative about how the tabulations and all that kind of voting works. I highly recommend you guys go and look that up. So you're right. It makes it an improbability, but it's actually not a nigh impossibility. So we'll see. So it could be up to 10, but you're right. Normally it comes in 8 or 9. So we'll see where it comes in at this year. Good point, Film Boss. All right, Colby Harris writes, I found a unique way of showing the Star Wars. Start with episode 4 and 5, then after, watch the prequels or just episode 3. That way you don't spoil that Vader is Luke's father, and then go on to Return of the Jedi. You know, it's funny, Colby, because a lot of people always come up with these watch orders for Star Wars. And listen, it's kind of like, how do you mix your Kool-Aid? I mean, there's 1,000 ways to do it, and none of them are wrong. To me, the most simple is the obvious. You watch them in the order that they were made. To me, that is the way to watch them. You watch the order in which they were made. You watch A New Hope, you watch Empire, you watch Jedi. You skip the prequels altogether, and then you go right to The Force Awakens. But if you don't want to, that's fine. You go New Hope, Empire, Jedi, Phantom Menace, Clones, Revenge. Then you go on to Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. I mean, to me, it's just release order. That to me is the most simple. But again, a lot of people come up with some very creative ways, and none of them are wrong. For me, if anybody ever asked me for my personal recommendation, I always just say the simple thing, in the order in which they were made. That's what I recommend. But that's just me. Anyway, thanks for the tip, Colby. All right. Murray Reich writes, what a great episode of Arrow this week. Haven't seen it. Nice break from the BS Oliver's Idiot Kids sitcom crap. Listen, somebody else wrote in yesterday about that, oh, John, the new episode of Arrow doesn't focus on Oliver's Idiot Kids. So I'm like, ooh, then I got to watch that. But of course, yesterday was an insanely busy day for us. So we didn't get around to that. But yes, I do want to watch this episode. Maybe I'll watch it on the drive to Vegas today. I drive half of it, Ann drives half of it. It only takes us about 3.5 hours to get there. But maybe on Ann's driving leg, I'll pop open my tablet and watch the new episode of Arrow, because everybody's saying it was really, really good, and thank goodness it doesn't have Oliver's Idiot Kids. All right, next up. Mitchell Pereira writes, The Irishman is officially called The Irishman, but the title card at the beginning reads, I heard you paint houses. It's the name of the book it's based on. Yes, it is. What's up with this? Is this the same type of thing as Birdman or Doctor Strangelove with 2 titles? No, I think the way I interpreted it, because for those who don't know, The Irishman is based on a book called I Heard You Paint Houses. And of course, painting houses is code for you murder people. You murder people for a living. You're a hitman. I heard you paint houses. I didn't take it as a dual title thing. I took it as a setting the tone. I heard you paint houses. Because very quickly in the movie, they get around to that phrase. I heard you paint houses. And it's kind of an overlying kind of thematic thing. So and you might be, by the way, Mitchell, you might be right on the money. You might be. It's not how I personally interpreted it. I personally interpret it as just that it sets the stage. Like if you're watching a movie, look, we've all seen some movies do this. Say you're watching a movie about, a series of events is kicked off by a bird escaping out of a window. I'm just making this up. It starts with, a bird escapes the window. Tarantino has utilized this technique a couple of times as well, by the way. So I never took it as 2 separate titles by any stretch of the imagination. I always just interpreted it as, setting the tone. At least that's how I personally saw it. But you, Mitchell, that's not a bad observation. You might be right on the money about that. Okay. Christopher Lambert writes, Hey, John, first time writing to the show, but been a viewer for about a year. Thank you so much, Christopher. Good to have you along, my friend. My question is, even with a few underperforming movies, are we looking at a Disney averaging $1 billion per movie this year? That's a good question. I'm not sure. Because a couple of them really are throwing things off kilter. So look, if I go over, let me go over to Box Office Mojo for a second. And I will look up Let me see if I can get... I'm not quite sure. Where would I look for this? Hold on a second. Oh, they moved it, and I don't know where it is right now. I can't remember all the films that came out, but like you're talking Avengers Endgame, which made 2.7 or 2.8. You got Star Wars coming. You got Frozen out now. You got Aladdin. You got Captain Marvel. Dumbo was this year? No, Dumbo wasn't this year. Dumbo was last year. I'm not really sure. I'd have to have a list of the movies that all that, because I can't keep it all sorted out in my head. I'd have to have a list right in front of me of all the movies that came out this year from Disney. But listen, while you're going to have some movies that throw the number off from being lower, you're also going to get something like Avengers Endgame, which is 1.7 billion over the $1 billion mark. So that's going to adjust it up. So it could be. It could be. I'm not totally sure, but it absolutely could be. And we're going to see how both Frozen and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker does for them. All right, Cinema Reviews writes, one of two. Sorry for how I've acted the last few months. Yes, The Last Jedi haters shouldn't control my enjoyment of it, but they're still, at least partly, responsible for us having no movies to look forward to after Episode 9. Yes, there's Disney Plus shows, but it's not the same, and making the fandom feel unsafe for me to talk about what I love in The Last Jedi. Not helping me by being a Reylo shipper, so I have to worry about Antis. I don't know what Antis is. That's why I get so angry at them. Does that make me selfish? It's not that, no, it doesn't make you selfish, Cinema. I just think you got to move on from it. Look, you're not wrong. There are a lot, and forgive my language here, there are a bunch of fucking pathetic loser assholes out there who made it their mission to try to sabotage and undermine and hurt somebody else's enjoyment of something. There's no doubt about it. There was a good period of time that you can't possibly say in any form, I really enjoyed The Last Jedi, without then getting ganged up on and getting attacked and getting all this kind of, not disagreement. Disagreement's fine. Disagreement's fine. Nothing wrong with disagreement. Nothing wrong with people who didn't like it. But you couldn't say you're right. You put it a good way. There is a group of so-called fans that made it unsafe for people to feel unsafe to just love what they love and come out and talk about what they love. Like when I watch somebody, I'll just use an extreme example. Let's take a movie I really despised. Let's say Assassin's Creed. When I see somebody online saying that, I saw Assassin's Creed this year, I really loved it. I don't feel the need to immediately jump into that discussion thread and go, no, F that movie, it sucked. I mean, I thought it sucked personally, but that's just me. But I never feel the need to, as Chris Carr puts it, I don't feel the need that I have to jump in and try to ruin their enjoyment. I don't feel the need that I need to jump in and, as Chris Carr would put it, yuck on their yum. You know what I mean? I love that saying. I will forever be indebted to Chris for saying that. Yuck on their yum. I don't feel the need to do that. However, there are a bunch of bottom-dwelling cousin humpers who have felt the desperate need that if they see anybody anywhere say that they liked Solo or The Last Jedi, that they feel this pathetic, intrinsic, desperate, sad need to try to ruin that person's experience. And then get into name-calling and then... Now, to be fair... I've a good buddy of mine, Kyle Newman, who I had on Dark Side, Light Side this week with me. By the way, how great was Kyle on the show? Kyle was great. Kyle and I love Tarkin Star Wars. And guess what? He and I have very different... Well, I mean, I wouldn't say polar opposite views of Last Jedi. Like, he does not like Last Jedi. There are parts of it he does. There are parts of The Last Jedi that he appreciates. But overall, Kyle really doesn't like The Last Jedi. I do like The Last Jedi. There are parts that I have problems with, and I've talked about those ad nauseum. There are parts I have issues with, but I like The Last Jedi. Kyle sees some redeeming things in The Last Jedi, but overall, he really does not like The Last Jedi. So he and I are a good example of this. We are on totally polar opposites, but he and I love talking about it together. I love talking to Kyle about how much he dislikes The Last Jedi. He loves talking to me about the elements of The Last Jedi that I enjoy, and we have great conversation, and we are on totally opposite ends of the spectrum. Totally opposite ends of the spectrum. And to be fair, I find the majority of the people who don't like The Last Jedi are like Kyle. The majority of the people who don't like The Last Jedi are like Kyle. They just watched a movie and they didn't like it. They're not jerks about it. They're not assholes about it. The vast majority of the people who did not like The Last Jedi are like Kyle. They just watched a movie they didn't like. Just like I watched the Assassin's Creed and I didn't like it. Now, if you ask me, I'll always tell you that I didn't like it, and I'll tell you why. But I don't feel the need to yuck on somebody else's yum if they loved it. And I find that's good. Now, I was saying to be fair, you know, on the opposite end of the spectrum, my friend Kyle also found it unsafe to talk about Star Wars online, but for the opposite reason. You know, he just decided to stop talking about Star Wars online in general because whenever he would bring up his concerns about Last Jedi, and it was all just it was all innocent stuff. Like, just here's why narrative structure wise, the art of filmmaking, why it didn't work for me and why I didn't like it. He would get attacked too. So you are absolutely right, Casinema, that there has been just a segment of bottom-dwelling, cousin-humping assholes who have set out to try to make it an unsafe place for people to express that they love something. But we also got to keep in mind two important things. That's the minority, of people who didn't like The Last Jedi. The majority of people who didn't like The Last Jedi just didn't like it because they didn't like it as a movie. All film is subjective. There's nothing wrong with that. But the second thing you got to keep in mind too is that there are people like Kyle Newman who really didn't like The Last Jedi, and he found it unsafe to express his thoughts on the movie too. The Star Wars fandom has gone through a very, very dark time the last couple of years. And it's not because of the movies. It's because of the way really mentally weak members of the fan community have responded to the movies one way or the other. It ain't the movie's fault. You can put out a great movie, you can put out a bad movie. It's up to us and how we respond to that and how we treat each other through that. And the Star Wars fandom has gone through a very dark period of time where the absolute worst elements of the Star Wars fandom has really come up and bubbled to the surface. And it's created a very toxic, unhealthy place to be. And again, it's not the movie's fault. A bad movie doesn't make you act like an asshole. Sorry. A bad movie, even if maybe it's a great movie, but maybe you thought it was bad. Okay, that's fair. But just because you thought a movie was bad, that doesn't give you the right or the license to treat other people like an asshole. And we've seen that. We've seen that in the Star Wars community the last couple of years. Now, over the past 6 months or so, I've been feeling it get a little bit better. So I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful about it. But yeah, again, you are absolutely right, Casinema. I'm not trying to undermine your truth here, that you've had a terrible, awful, miserable experience online as a film fan because there are a bunch of bottom-dwelling, cousin-humping assholes who have tried to make it an unsafe for you to just to be and to enjoy what you enjoy. But you got to remember, those are the minority of the people. And the second thing you got to understand is that there are people on the other side of the aisle who didn't like The Last Jedi, that they've kind of been experiencing the same thing too. It's true. And again, I just think we all got to realize that whether you like, love, are indifferent, or hate a movie, that does not justify us changing our behavior and how we treat other people. And I think that's important. Anyway, let's move on here. All right. Sorry, I closed my window there for a second. Where we go? John S. writes, I don't mind a black Superman. Clark Kent? No. Another version? Sure. If it's the best actor, actress for a job, I don't care. Hypocrisy is what bugs me. Ghost in the Shell as an Asian android ScarJo is whitewashing, but Idris Elba as a potential Bond isn't blackwashing. Well, there's two things here, John. To be honest with you, my film loving brother, you are way oversimplifying that, and you're creating a straw man argument here. Whether or not Superman and Clark Kent can be a black character, and again, let me emphasize this. Superman isn't white. I'm sorry to burst the bubble for everybody out there. Superman's not white. He's not a Caucasian. Superman's not even a human being. Superman is an alien organism that has been portrayed that the certain skin pigmentation that he has manifested as an alien organism just happens to kind of resemble the same pigmentation of my skin. But that is nothing to speak to who or what that character is. The only thing you couldn't do is say that Superman's skin pigmentation was purple, because you can't then make an excuse that he actually fits in with humanity, because that changes the story. Then he would obviously have been an alien to everybody who saw him. But his skin pigmentation is nothing to the story. Nothing. It has no impact on it whatsoever. The reason I've always interpreted that, and this is just me, that you could theoretically get an Idris Elba as a James Bond, is because to me, James Bond is a recurring, recycling character. So it just so happens that this person going by the name James Bond happens to be black, and then the next one might be white again, and the next one, but to me, it's a rotating door. It's not a single individual, but that's just me. That's just me. But the reason it's a bit of a straw man argument, John, is because whose hypocrisy? Just because some people somewhere didn't like ScarJo playing the role of an android doesn't mean that anybody who is okay with the idea of Superman being black, that's hypocrisy. It's only hypocrisy if you're talking about the exact same person. I had no problem with ScarJo playing the android, and I have no problem with the idea of Idris Elba being James Bond, and I have no problem with the idea of Superman, even Clark Kent Superman, being black, because it's completely inconsequential to the story. You would have to tell me how any of the core essential elements of who and what make up the character of Superman is at all affected by the tone and pigmentation of his skin color. You're going to have to present me with that argument, but I'm going to tell you right now, you can't, because there is no argument to be made that the true, like 3 or 4 or 5 core essential important things that make Superman Superman is affected by the pigmentation of his skin color. None of it is. It's just not. So saying this hypocrisy, only if you can point to the same person saying the same thing, which you're not. I say I have no problem with ScarJo being an android, and I have no problem with whatever. I had no problem with Michael Clark Duncan playing Kingpin. I've got no problem with I just don't care. As long as the color of the skin pigmentation is not a core essential part of what makes that character who they are, then it's not an issue. You got to get a white actor to play JFK. You got to get a black actor to play Black Panther, the Prince of an African Nation. But other than that, I'm totally cool with it, whatever way. You just have to make to me an argument about how the color of the skin drastically alters one of the 4 or 5 key core elements about what makes that character who they are. And if you can't do that, then there shouldn't be an issue. That's just my approach to it at any rate. But we all see things different ways. All right. Derek Hoskins writes, "Hey crew, in regards to the subjectivity of film, this also applies to the majority of daily life. Is this just a good way to think before criticizing others? However, when your wife asks how she looks, it's all subjective is not the ideal response." This is very true, Derek. Now, of course, I believe to be a film fan, the very first thing you have to understand and accept is that all film is subjective. Art is a subjective thing. It's not measured. It all hits us in different ways, and so we're all going to have different experiences with it. And your experience will be different than mine, but that doesn't mean yours is right and mine is wrong, or vice versa. So you got to understand that. And there is a lot of objective truth in life and a lot of subjective truth in life. But you're absolutely right, Derek. One of the things you do not say when the wife asks, "Do I look fat in this?" Oh my God, I'm trying to think about the number of minutes I would still be breathing on this earth if I said, it's all subjective. I wouldn't last long, Derek. I wouldn't last long. All right, Sam O'Neill writes, just started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm 4 episodes in and I'm really liking it at the moment. However, I see why some don't like it. And listen, Sam, this is a great example. If you're watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you like it, that is awesome. That's awesome. Now, I have never hidden the fact that I completely detest Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There are some episodes that are actually, I remember was it their 100th episode? I think it was the 100th episode. Anyway, I remember the 100 was actually really quite good. And they had a number of episodes that even I think were quite good. But overall, I think it's a horrible dumpster fire of a show. But that's just me. If you watch it and you like it, that is awesome. I celebrate that. And yeah, look, that's just a good way of looking at it. I watched it and I liked it, but I can see why other people don't. Or I watched it and I hated it, but I can see why other people do get something out of it. And I think that's a great example of that. So I'm glad you're enjoying it, Sam. Keep on enjoying it. All right, Benny95 writes, John, when you say you're an effing nobody, that must make me and the rest of us here worthless because, dude, you're awesome and deserve more credit than you give yourself. Thank you for that, dude. Enjoy it. You honestly deserve 1 million subscribers. Seriously, keep it up. And congrats again on the 200,000. Well, thank you so much. And listen, there ain't nothing wrong with being a nobody. There's nothing wrong with being a nobody. I am perfectly happy as a nobody. I am perfectly happy as a nobody. My life has value because I have friends and family that I love. That gives my life value. Having 1 million subscribers doesn't give my life value. Having 200,000 subscribers doesn't give my life value. Having 100 million views doesn't give my life value. My value comes from the people that I have in my life and that I appreciate and that appreciate me. But yeah, I'm still nobody. I'm still a nobody. But there's nothing wrong with that. I think the point of the matter is don't think of yourself as beneath me. Why? Because I got some people who watch me on YouTube. Come on. Your life is every bit as valuable, if not more, than mine. So don't even think about it in those terms, Benny. But I do thank you for the kind words. I thank you very much for the kind words, brother. All right. Alex Pitt writes, congrats on the 200,000 subscribers, John. 100% deserve it. Thank you very much. And by the way, that is something that we have all done. A part of the reason why people subscribe to this channel isn't just me. It's our community. We have a great community. And a lot of that has to do with you guys, so thank you for that, Alex. All right, Alexander Olafson writes, hello, everyone. Must say, Joe Pesci still got it. Dude, I'm telling you, dude, he hasn't lost a beat. Joe Pesci has not lost a beat. I loved watching him in that. Superman Steve writes, as much as I enjoyed The Irishman, it felt almost too much like his other gangster movies. Did you feel that way? I'm not going to lie. Yeah, there is a similar feel to a number of his other gangster movies, sure. But couldn't you say, Return of the King feels a lot like, Fellowship of the Ring? Well, yeah, but that's okay, right? If it's good, it's good, right? So I agree with you. Does it have that same... But listen, you can make an argument about Tarantino films too. Listen, all Tarantino films feel the same. Like, they're very different movies, but Tarantino has got a DNA to his movies that you instantly know. Even if you've never heard of, I don't know, what's a good example here? Let's say you've never heard of Jackie Brown. And somebody pops on a movie, Jackie Brown. I'm willing to bet money. If you know the other films of Quentin Tarantino, within about 5 minutes, you'll go, this feels like a Quentin Tarantino film. Because he's got that feel. But there's nothing wrong with that if it works. So, yeah, I agree. There's a little bit of that in Irishman. But to me personally, that didn't take anything away from the movie for me. That's just me personally. Anyway, but you're not wrong, Superman Steve. Not wrong. All right, Superman Steve also writes, I've had my YouTube channel for about 5 months now. You can say your channel is insignificant with 200,000 subscribers, not 200 million. Woo! I'd be living a different lifestyle if I had 200 million subscribers. But no, 200,000 subscribers. I literally have like 135. I must be invisible. Seriously, though, massive congrats to you, John Crew. Much deserved. But here's the thing, Superman Steve. I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. I believe more people should get involved in adding their voices to the online fan community through blogs, through podcasts, through YouTube channels. And it does not matter if you have 5 subscribers. Dude, listen, you're saying you got 135 subscribers. You know how many YouTube channels would love to have 135 subscribers? A lot. But it doesn't matter if you have 5 subscribers. 10 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, or 1,000,000 subscribers. The important thing is that you're getting involved creatively, you're adding your voice to the conversation, and most importantly, hopefully, it's helping you engage a little bit so you're having fun. That's the key thing, right? That's the key thing. So don't worry about it. And listen, think about it. You have 135 people who have come across your content and decided, you know what? I enjoy this. I'm going to click subscribe. That's 135 times that's happened. That's awesome. Don't lament that, dude. Celebrate that. I think that's great. Anyway, Christopher Benson writes, Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much, Christopher. Tough Turf, that's Robert is always talking about Tough Turf, it's on Amazon Prime right now. I will be watching this holiday season, and Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Christopher. Poor, misguided Christopher. Listen, guys, I'm going to say this once. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a fun debate. Actually, me and Robert get into it all the time. Because Robert, by the way, is very much on the Die Hard is a Christmas movie thing. I am very hardcore on the side that Die Hard is very much not a Christmas movie. And the debate rages and continues, but it's a fun debate to have. Let's see. Muhammad Assad writes, hey, John, greetings from Egypt. Well, thank you so much, Mohammed. I appreciate that, dude. Finally, I can send you something since YouTube doesn't support my region. I just wanted to let you know that from the people I admire in your field, I consider you to be my role model. I always appreciate your insight, even when I disagree with you. I always appreciate your passion. I could say a lot of things about how you helped me without even you knowing, but I will only say this. Ketchup on eggs is blasphemy. Keep up the great work and send Robert my regards. Well, seriously, Muhammad, thank you so much, man. One of the things that is always amazing to me is, and I think like once every 4 or 5 months, Robert will be over here and we'll just stop and go, let's just open the analytics thing. And we'll look for a second at how many countries from around the world people watch the show from. That's crazy. It is crazy that right now there are people in the UK and Australia and Egypt and India and Canada, the United States and Sweden and all over the world. People are watching, all of us together. So Mohammed, like you're in Egypt, but you're part of this conversation right now with people from all over the world. It is amazing. And it kind of reaffirms to me that one thing I'm always saying, movies is truly our human language. Storytelling is our human language. And I told this story before, but bear with me here for a second. I remember being at Comic-Con one year, and I called an Uber to pick me up at the house that we were renting to take me to the convention center. And it was a dude from somewhere in the Middle East, and he spoke pretty broken English, right? So clearly this guy and I had very little in common. But somehow we passed a billboard or something, and somehow, some way, Lord of the Rings came up. And for about 12 minutes, I think it was about 12 minutes. For about 12 minutes, me and this dude, who have never met each other before, have nothing in common, we sat there and talked about Lord of the Rings for like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever. And we were just geeking out together. Storytelling is something we have done as a species since our earliest incarnations. And I think there's so much power in storytelling. And there's a unifying power in storytelling that you can sit down. Listen, you can be anybody from any ethnic background, whatever your gender, sexual orientation, financial, socioeconomical background, political beliefs, whatever. And you could sit down at a table with somebody of completely the opposite of every one of those things. And you guys can probably talk about The Godfather. Or you guys can talk about Star Wars. Or you can talk about Batman. Or you can talk about Goodfellas. Or you can talk about The Irishman. Or you can talk about... And you can just do that. And that's the power of movies. So anyway, Mohammed, thank you so much for reminding me of that. And it's always a good thing to know. So thank you very much. All right. Anonymous writes... Happy Thanksgiving. May you spend time with loved ones, which we all do on this show, and be thankful for all we have. Also, little fun fact, the Detroit Lions started Thanksgiving football back in 1934. Go Lions. This is it every year. The Detroit Lions play on the Thanksgiving day, no matter how good they are or how bad they are in a particular year. By the way, I think I think the Lions this year are a better team than their record shows. That's just me. But yeah, you know what? One of the things that really surprised me as a Canadian who came up here, Thanksgiving, we celebrate Thanksgiving in October in Canada. And we get together and celebrate, but it's not really that big of a deal. I was really surprised when I got to the States to find out like Thanksgiving is a huge deal in the States. So it's kind of a big thing. Anyway, thank you for those thoughts, Anonymous. I appreciate that. Anonymous also writes, New Mutants, The Flash, and Avatar 2 all race to get into theaters first. With The Crow remake and Gambit fighting it out for last place. Who wins? It's starting to look like Gambit's going to be in that last place. You know, we heard a little while ago that there might still be a glimmer of hope that Gambit might actually make it, even under Disney. But it sounds now like Channing Tatum's kind of moved on from it. So it sounds like that one's done. Man, well, New Mutants will hit theaters. It looks like Disney, they set their own release date for it. And it looks like that's going to happen. So I feel pretty good about that at any rate. F1Z writes, congrats. You're the only pundit I trust. One above all. Oh, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. But remember, my opinions are just opinions. So take that for a grain of salt. But thank you so much. And I appreciate the support, man. Thank you for that. All right. Richard Karate. By the way, did I miss one? No, I did not. Okay. Richard Karate writes, where'd he go? There he is. Happy Thanksgiving, John. Just one question. Do you think we will see Rey and Palpatine having a lightsaber battle in episode 9? Okay. I'm going to say yes, but with one asterisk. That I'm not confident that fight ends with Rey and Palpatine battling it out. I have a feeling it's going to end with the Emperor battling somebody else at the end. I think that fight happens. I think it's a part of the climax, but I don't think it ends that way. There's a lot of different possibilities, and I don't even have a solid theory on which one that might be, but that's kind of how I'm seeing it. So I'm feeling we're at least going to see that for a bit, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just pure speculating at this point, but I think there's a pretty good chance, Richard. I do. Thanks for that, man. All right. Richard Gouge writes, or Frankie Gouge writes, along with Dutch, which we talked about yesterday, wonderful movie with Ed O'Neill. Home for the Holidays with Robert Downey Jr. and Holly Hunter. Is a favorite Thanksgiving film. Can I talk for a second about Holly Hunter? Holly Hunter is got to be one of my favorite performers. I love it whenever she comes up on screen. Even when it's just her voice doing the voice of Mrs. Incredible in The Incredibles. And then she'll pop up in these big things. She's in some all-time great things. And then she pops up in Batman versus Superman, sure. And then she comes up in this little film with Kumail Nanjiani in The Big Sick. And she plays the mom in the... Oh my... I love this woman. Can I just say that again? I love Holly Hunter. And I think she doesn't get the credit she deserves as, honestly, one of our generation's greats. Top 20 of the past 30 years. I put her top 20, maybe even top 15 of the past 30. She is awesome. Anyway, just want to say it. Thanks for the shout out on that, Frankie Gouch, and I agree with you, buddy. All right. Patrick Conway writes, congrats to all of you, Baby Yoda or Baby Groot. Ooh, I got to go Baby Yoda. I like Baby Groot very, 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 very much. Hugely love Baby Groot. But I got to say, and maybe it's just because Baby Yoda's the new thing. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'll answer differently a year from now, but right now I'm going to lean with Baby Yoda. Fanjecture writes, congratulations on the incredible 200,000 subscribers. Been with you since before Man of Steel. That's rare. That's been before Man of Steel. A lot of people started watching on the Man of Steel review. And what a ride. On this Thanksgiving, help us all to win some money. Bears are five underdog or favorites over the Lions. Dallas 7. Really? Dallas is favored over Buffalo by 7? Saints over Falcon, keep that. Bears over Lions, 5.5. 5.5. Listen, I went into this season pretty hopeful for the Bears. There's not a lot to be confident about the Bears right now. I think Bears win the game, but I don't take 5.5. So I don't take that action. And no, Dallas might win the game, but I won't give them 7. Nah. No, I think Bills cover. I think Lions cover. I think Bills cover. And I would take Saints at 7. I would do that. So there you go. But by the way, I am no expert. Let me be very clear about that. Don't take me as any sort of sports book prognosticator or anything. But that's the action I take. All right. Patrick Conway writes, congrats to all of you, babe. Didn't I just read, or did you send that in twice? Oh, no, sorry, I started going the wrong way. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick Conway again. Louis Blanco writes, 200,000 subscribers for the best customer service ever. Of course, that goes all the way back to the movie blog days because somebody wrote in once, I won't tell the whole story, but somebody wrote in once asking me to send them Peter Jackson's contact information because they really wanted to be an extra in The Hobbit. And then they wrote back like 3 days later, I wrote to you 3 days ago asking for Peter Jackson's contact information. What kind of customer service is this? I kid you. I still have that email. I keep that one forever and always. Anyway, nice shout back to that, Lewis. All right, Gene writes, where's the Black Widow trailer? I need my MCU fix. Well, there is a Black Widow trailer, is there not? Hold on a second. Or did they only show it to... No, maybe I'm not remembering it right. Did they only show it to us at thing? I can't remember. Did they actually? Well, listen. It's on YouTube. You can find the clips and the preview for Black Widow that they showed us at D23. That's online. You can find that too. I still gotta say I'm still not excited for that movie. Still not. I'm not excited for. I never will be. And maybe they'll be great and I'll love them. But I'll never be excited for Hawkeye. I've always said for years. I've said I just can't get excited for the idea of a standalone Hawkeye or a standalone Black Widow. I love both of the characters in supporting roles in the MCU, and I love seeing them there. But yeah, I just still kind of feel that way. GQ Tipped writes, my top 7 guilty pleasures. Number 7, Dusk Till Dawn. I think a lot of people love that movie, man. Number 6, Con Air. Again, I know a lot of people that love that movie. Number 5, Tommy Boy. Again, a lot of people love that movie. Number 4, Armageddon. Number 3, Saw. Dude, people love it. It spawned like an 8-film franchise. Well, all parts. Okay, some of the parts of Saw would be guilty pleasures. I'll give you that. Number 2, Undisputed. Oh, which one is Undisputed? I know that one. Which one was Undisputed? Hold on a second. I'm going to kick myself as soon as I see which one it is and remind myself about which one it is. Oh, that's not what I was thinking of. Okay, I was not thinking of that one. Okay, so the Undisputed films and San Andreas. You know what? I got a kick out of San Andreas too. I did. I thought San Andreas was fun. Is it a dumb little movie? Absolutely. I think Dwayne Johnson will tell you that himself. It's a dumb little movie, but it was fun. I had a good time with it. Okay. Let's keep moving here. Where are we at? Draco Eris writes, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is 80 years old this year. Oh my God. Really? Unbelievable. I thought of a live-action film idea about Rudolph that could take place in the 1940s. 80 years old. Holy crap. And it is insane how well that holds up. I kid you not. I can pop on. If I'm flipping through the channels and I come across Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I stop. And it still stands up. I mean, obviously the visual effects and the animation style, but I mean, the story. I love Rudolph and Frosty and that whole ilk of things. I love that, but 80 years old. Oh my God. All right. Anyway, thanks for that, dude. Ryan Lohner writes, Joker 2 prediction. Your father's name is Thomas 2. We have to be friends now. Hey, listen, we're giving it a hard time. I actually put up, for those of you who don't know, and thanks for reminding of this, Ryan. I put up a video a couple of years ago after Batman versus Superman came out. And it's basically why I call it defending the Martha scene. Because I think, and this is Zack Snyder's fault, I get it, but I defend that scene because I think most people in the audience misinterpreted what was actually happening when, Bruce says, why did you say that name? All that. I think it's been very widely misinterpreted what is actually happening in the scene when the Martha thing comes up. Now, that's the storyteller's fault. If it gets misinterpreted by the audience, that's the storyteller's fault. But I interpreted a certain way when I was watching it that I think a lot of people misunderstood. But anyway, that's a little side note there. But yes, your name's Thomas too? Yeah, or your father's name is Thomas too? Russell Amador writes, Hold up. Don't cut the turkey just yet, Mom. The John Campea Show is on. Happy Thanksgiving to all. I have spoken. Thank you so much, Russell. And may you and your family have a wonderful Thanksgiving day, man. Thanks for that. All right. Mark Battolato writes, happy Thanksgiving and congratulations. Thank you so much, man. You run a terrific program, and I'm so thankful it's always here. Saw Marriage Story and Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood this week. Both terrific movies with great performances. Looking forward to your reviews for both. Yeah, those are two I got to see now. I got the Irishman down and under my belt. I still got to get A Beautiful Day. Ann and I might actually, we're going to Vegas for the next few days to celebrate Thanksgiving and celebrate Ann's mom's birthday. So we're all going out to Vegas, a bunch of the family. And I think while we're in Vegas, we may try to slip out to, there's a big AMC theater in Vegas, and we think we might slip out to go watch Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood while we're there. And then I'll catch up to Marriage Story when I get home. But these are both I really do want to see, and I've been waiting to see for a while. Thanks for that, Mark, and may you have a wonderful Thanksgiving as well, my friend. All right, Ben Rayner writes, hi, John. Congrats. I'm sorry to bring this up, but something I've been thinking about. If Warner Brothers won't pay for the Snyder Cut, Snyder Cut. I'm just curious, maybe it's legal, but what's stopping Snyder from paying for it himself? Just curious again. Sorry to bring it up again. Well, there's two things, Ben. Number one, I don't know that Zack Snyder has $25 million in his bank account. I mean, everybody thinks that if you're famous, you must have tens of millions of dollars. That's not true. I know a lot of actors and directors that, you know, I mean, they'll probably be rich, but I don't know that Zack Snyder's just got like $25-30 million sitting in a savings account. And I don't know that he'd want to bankrupt himself just to do that. So that's number one. The bigger problem is Zack Snyder doesn't have the right to do that. Justice League doesn't belong to him. It's property of Warner Brothers. So the main thing is, I don't know that he's got that kind of money just laying around to do it. Number two, why would he bankrupt himself to do that when he knows he'll just lose all of his money? But number three is the fact that he simply doesn't have the rights to do that. It's not his movie. It's Warner Brothers' movie. So those are the things that would be stopping him, Ben. But good question to bring up. All right, Marcus writes, hey, John, are you a little disappointed that The Mandalorian immediately jumped back into the Force stuff with Baby Yoda? And over under 25%, Boba Fett is a future teammate / villain to the protagonist. Let's just answer the thing about the Force thing. No, I'm not. Now, listen, if you asked me, this is why it's always about execution. If you asked me prior to The Mandalorian started, would I choose to put Force stuff into The Mandalorian? No, I wouldn't. But in seeing how it's being executed and how they're using it constructively in the narrative, it's working beautifully. It's working great. And that's why it's always important to understand that we can have our thoughts going into a movie, but we got to leave those thoughts aside once we start watching the movie or TV show, and then see how whatever the movie or TV show does offer us and see how well it works. So no, it's working great for this story. It's working great for the story. As far as Boba Fett goes, I'm not going to touch that, but that's how I feel about the Force stuff at any rate. So no, not disappointed that they're using it. And by the way, the Force use has been minimal. It's been minimal. I mean, we've seen Baby Yoda use the Force once in 3 episodes. He stopped a raging Mudhorn. That's what it's called, Mudhorn. Once. That's it. It's not like the Force has been an overly dominant theme in the show, so I'm actually okay with it at this point. I'm okay with it. All right. Let's see. Jay the Oh My God Ruler writes, happy Thanksgiving, John. Thank you so much, Jay. Say Tom Hooper can't make a bad movie, in my opinion, contradicts you saying everyone has their bad day at the office, even Spielberg. And I know people who don't like Les Mis. I have no interest in cats. Too creepy. More power to you watching it. Well, dude, take it easy for a minute. Like, look, what Jay is referring to is, I'd say, look, so far to me, Tom Hooper just doesn't make a bad movie. Obviously, I am not actually saying he is genetically incapable of ever making a movie that is not bad. That's obvious, okay? That's clear. What my point, and I thought my point was pretty clear, was that to me so far, everything Tom Hooper has made has been fantastic, including Les Mis. Les Mis was brilliant. That doesn't mean you have to agree. All film is subjective, and that's fine. But there are people who don't like Godfather. There are people who don't like I don't know, you name the movie. There are people, because all film is subjective. So if you don't like it, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, everything that I'm saying is from my perspective. And from my perspective, Tom Hooper has just done nothing but great stuff, including one of the, if not maybe the best movie of the decade in The King's Speech. And I loved what he did with Les Mis. I know they got a lot of Oscar nominations. So until I see him drop the ball, I'm going to give him all the benefit of the doubt. Now, of course, if Tom Hooper makes 100 movies, some of them are not going to be good. Obviously, that was obvious in what I was saying. But what my point is that up till now, he has just cranked out excellence every time out. So like when Christopher Nolan has a new movie coming out called Tenet, I'm just going to give it the benefit of the doubt because he's earned it. Of course, Christopher Nolan can make a bad movie. Of course he can. So can Scorsese. So Spielberg. So can all of them. But right now, track record makes me give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, you can say Cats looks creepy to you and all that kind of, yeah, I'm not really huge on the trailers either, but that doesn't matter. That speaks nothing to whether the movie is good or not. So we'll see. So bottom line here, Jay, yes, obviously Tom Hooper can make a bad film. Obviously. Everybody does and everybody can. But his track record up until this point is pretty much he's batting 1,000 to me. And so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. That doesn't mean Cats will be good, but it means I expect it to be good, but we'll have to wait and see. I might go and see it and think it's the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. But until that happens, I'm giving Tom Hooper the benefit of the doubt because he's just shown that he bends over and craps out gold. I mean, so that's just my take on it, Jay, at any rate. But that doesn't mean you're going to like it. Doesn't mean I'm going to like it. We're just going to have to wait and see. All right. Jonathan Bunch writes, hey, John, been watching since the AMC Closet days. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Love your show and seeing it evolve over the years. Congrats on the 200,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, Jonathan. This is the sweaty way. Cheers, and I have spoken. Well, thanks so much for that, man. And it is crazy. Dude, listen, I still remember starting my very first, well, I mean, look, honestly, my first movie website, and now that I mentioned it, I want to go to the URL and see what's there right now. Hold on a second. If I go to moviereviews.org, what's there? Is anything there? Nothing. So, okay, to be fair, my actual real first time launching a movie site was ages ago. Nobody's using it right now. Okay, so it was ages ago. I was much younger, and I started a little movie website called movie-reviews.org. Terrible domain name, and all I did, and I had a couple of friends help me too, was write movie reviews on it. That's all I did. I just wrote movie reviews on it. And that didn't last long. It didn't last. Moviereviews.org did not last long. And I just went there. Right now, there's no website at it. There's just a domain parking right now. Movie-reviews.org. So if you want the domain name, movie-reviews.org, you can go and get it today. And actually, I want to see, it does it cost? That used to be my domain name, but I don't have it anymore. Ooh, and it's cheap. It's only $70. You can buy that domain for $70 right now. Anyway. Then I moved away from that for a while. And then like a year or two later, or a couple of years later, it was in 2003. 2003. I was in my buddy's basement and I said, I'm going to launch a new site because I was blogging a bunch in 2003. I thought a lot of my blogging is about movies. So I thought I'm going to start a separate blog from my personal blog just to talk about movies. And the domain name, themovieblog.com, was available. That's how early I got in on it. There wasn't a lot of movie sites, not a ton of movie sites at the time. So I bought the domain name movieblog.com for like $8. And I made my first movie blog post about the new trailer for this movie Seabiscuit that was coming out. And I remember the headline of that very first story I wrote on the movie blog was Seabiscuit suddenly thinks it's The Matrix. And that was my first post. And it is nuts when I look back at all the different iterations of how the movie blog itself evolved, where the movie blog took me, to then being asked by AMC to come and run that stuff, and then how everything else, it's just kind of crazy when I look back at it. So thank you, Jonathan, for being along for the ride ever since those AMC closet days. I appreciate it, man. All right. Fun Guy Kwai writes, top 10 worst films of 2019 so far. Number 10, Gemini Man. Number 9, What Men Want. That was pretty bad. Number 8, Rambo. You know what? I didn't hate Rambo. I actually kind of got a little bit of a guilty pleasure kick out of it. I did. I kind of liked it. But anyway, number 7, It Chapter 2. Number 6, 21 Bridges. Number 5, The Intruder. Number 4, Medea Family Funeral. I got to admit, I didn't see that one. Number 3, Dark Phoenix. Number 2, Stuber. And number 1, Pet Sematary. Ooh, you know what? I think I got to go with you on your last two. Yeah, I think I got to go with you on the last two. Like, I didn't completely hate Dark Phoenix, although it's not good. But Stuber, I would probably say, is my number 2 worst film of the year. And Pet Sematary, I think I'd have to say that's the worst film of the year, too. Honorable mention to Lego 2, which I didn't like, and Godzilla 2, which I also did not like. So that's an interesting list to go with, Fun Guy Kawhi on a Thanksgiving. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on that, man. I like that. All right, let's move on here. Next up is Dan Hensley, who writes, my top films: American Beauty. Ooh, good one. No Country for Old Men, Dark Knight, Casino Royale, Taxi Driver, Black Swan. That's an underrated film. Or it's not underrated, but people don't talk about that one enough. Interstellar, Full Metal Jacket, Pulp Fiction, Road to Perdition, The Fountain. That doesn't get mentioned a lot either. Prisoners, The Thing, Lion King, The Day the Earth Stood Still, the 1951 version. Very interesting. I like your list, man. It's a nice, I like it when people's lists are really a good mix, right? It's not just my favorite films: Godfather 1, Goodfellas, Godfather 2, Casino, like all the kind of the same. You've got like, got sci-fi in there. You've got twisted thriller in there. You got a comic book movie in there. You got some classics in there. You got Tarantino in there. You got an animated in there. I like the list, man. Well done. All right. Next up, Anthony Lucolano writes, I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are part of my religion. Seriously, 3 episodes into The Mandalorian, 3 great quotes. I have spoken. This is the way. Weapons are part of my religion. I mean, it feels like every single episode we get some great quippy quote. I love it. Suthius writes, hey guys, buy one, get one masterclass offer and soon. Really, I thought, because we've been talking a lot about masterclass lately, I thought masterclass was just a one thing. I thought you just had to pay $100 for it for the year, but you can actually get individual masterclasses. I didn't know that. Because, dude, seriously, I've been thinking about just paying the $100. When you look at the different classes and the instructors that they have, like from Bob Iger, why do I always freeze on the writer of West Wing? Greatest screenwriter probably working in the business today, and I'm freezing on his name. Anyway, him, Daniel, like, it's an incredible list of people doing these masterclasses. I did not know you could get them individually. I'm going to have to look into that. Thank you for the info, Suthius. Marcus Penner writes, Oilers are killing it this year. They are absolutely killing it this year. Go Edmonton. Is it smart to do a prequel like BW right after EG? It seems more like a D+ thing. Smart to do a prequel like BW right after EG. I'm freezing. BW. Sorry, dude. Sorry. Listen, guys, please. I understand some of these easy to put in abbreviations, but it might. I'm trying to answer 500 different questions at once, and my brain's not working quite right. So I don't know what it is we're talking about, Marcus. Sorry about that, dude. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Anyway, Julius Goodwin writes, binge watching the first season of Doom Patrol. God, I love that show. And I only watch it because you guys told me to watch it, and I love it. This show is completely nuts, fun, and there's no way any of them are remotely qualified to be a superhero, much less fight Mr. Nobody. Great villain, great humor, great character development. This show is nuts. Listen, and again, because I watched Titans and I did not like it. It didn't suck, but I didn't like Titans. So Doom Patrol comes along. I'm like, I'm not even going to bother with Doom Patrol. But then so many of you guys kept telling me, John, it's so different from Titans. Check out Doom Patrol. Check out Doom Patrol. Check out Doom Patrol. So fine, I'll watch Doom Patrol. Oh my God, I'm so glad you guys talked me into it. It's seriously one of my favorite shows that's out there right now. And you're absolutely right, Julius. It's nuts. It's fun. And you're right. None of them are qualified to fight Mr. Nobody. And Mr. Nobody is such a great character. Being played by Alan Tudyk. Such a great character and how he monologues and narrates the show. It's the first show I've seen in a long time that the villain narrates the show. The villain is the narrator of the show. It's such a great little twist on things. I love it. And I'm glad you like it too, Julius. I'm glad you're enjoying it. All right. Anonymous writes, congrats on 100 million views. Well, we're not there yet, but we'll be there in the coming weeks. Thanks for that, man. My wife is very protective of what our kids view online and streaming, but she lets them have free reign on Disney Plus because she says it's Disney, it's safe. That is the priceless branding that Bob Iger guards at all costs. Dude, you are so 100% on the ball. And it's not just Disney Plus. It is the brand as a whole that Bob Iger is so protective of. And you are right. Iger will guard that trust with his audience at all costs. That is why, while it is absolutely possible, don't misquote me, it is possible, but why I find it very unlikely that because Bob Iger has spoken to this, letting Deadpool into the MCU unless Deadpool is rated PG-13, period. Now, there are a lot of people who go, well, just have Deadpool be R-rated in his own movies and then bring him over into the PG movies. No, because that sends a mixed message. That, oh, well, Deadpool, I saw him in that Avengers movie and now he's got a standalone movie, so it's going to be fine. But now you may not be sensitive to that, and I may not be sensitive to that, but Bob Iger is very, very, very protective of that. And I think you're absolutely, that's a great illustration there, by the way. Anonymous, your wife protected your kids because we trust this brand. We know we're safe with it with our kids, blah, blah. That is so important to Bob Iger. And again, you may disagree with it. And it may not be what I would do, but it is what Bob Iger does, and that's a great illustration of that, Anonymous. Thanks for sending that in. Richard Karate writes, are the rumors of Matthew McConaughey being cast as Two-Face and Matt Reeves' Batman true or false? Let's put it this way. Anything is possible, but no credible real source has said that. Let's just be clear about that. No, there is zero credible sources that have actually claimed that. Is it possible? Yes, it could. Could be. We've seen Stranger Things, so you can't discount that. But you also got to keep in mind that nobody credible, like no Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Variety, nobody at the studio, blah, blah, none of that has confirmed any of that. So could it be? It could. But as of right now, just write it off as a rumor. And it may come back up. But for now, as a fan, I wouldn't give it any thought. Okay, Richard Karate then writes, John, what will release first? The new Crow remake, Arnold's new Conan movie, or this Flash movie with Ezra Miller? Yeah, we keep forgetting. I think finally we can say that this Conan movie that Arnold has been swearing up and down is coming for the past 7 years. I think we're safe at this point to say, yeah, that's probably not happening. Especially with the latest flopping of Terminator. I think we're safe to say, yeah, that's not happening. So let's take that one right out of the race. The Crow just seems cursed. And I know that sounds like a bit of a pun, but no pun intended, but The Crow seems cursed. So I'm going to say there's a chance none of these make it to theater, but I'm going to say the one that has the best chance is probably Flash, because we just saw Warner Brothers just say that they are still actually working on it. They just brought on a director in Andy Muschietti. That doesn't mean it's going to happen because they brought on 3 other sets of directors and they've all left. So we'll see. But out of any of them, I think the one that has the best chance, I think, is The Flash. All right. Kenneth Colton writes, happy Thanksgiving, Gio. Thank you so much, my friend. Gio and crew. I keep reading reports Marvel wants to fast track Blade. I hope it's outside of the MCU for an R rating. Good luck in Vegas. Thank you very much. I mean, but what do we mean fast track Blade? I mean, they've already cast their actor. They've already announced that they're doing the movie. It's already kind of fast tracked, right? It's not going to come out in the next 2 years. It's probably coming out in 2022 or 2023. So I don't know what these rumors or reports are saying that they're fast tracking it. What does that mean? They've already announced the movie and they got their lead actor, and they've probably got a release date that they just haven't announced yet. That'll be sometime in 2022 or 2023. So I'm not quite sure with those reports. I'm still kind of, I don't know. I really doubt that he's going to be rated R. And you know what? You don't need to make Blade rated R. He doesn't need to be. There's a lot of violence that you can do against monsters and robots and aliens and get away with a PG-13 rating. As a matter of fact, like, you guys know, I watch Supernatural, right? I like Supernatural very much. And you'd be surprised just how violent that show can be, with people getting their guts ripped out and like beheadings and all this kind of stuff. And that they just put on broadcast television. There's a lot you can do with PG-13. Now, would I prefer a Blade rated R separate from the MCU? Yes, I would. But is it the end of the world if we don't? No, I think there's ways to make it work, especially when you're talking about the talent that you have there. So we'll kind of have to wait and see. And thank you for the good luck being in Vegas. Shelly Belly writes, do you think this again, Shelly, do you think the rumors about Rise of Skywalker being a production disaster and people walking out of a screening in disgust hold any merit, or is it just unsubstantiated garbage? Okay, Kyle and I discussed this on Dark Side, Light Side the other day. I'm not going to go into my full 15-minute rant on it, but let me give you the 1-minute synopsis, okay? Kyle, who does not like The Last Jedi at all, okay? We talked about this. Here's the thing. Shelley, those reports are 100% fake. They're 100% fake, being pushed and propelled by people with a clear agenda that they want this movie to fail. Now, be clear. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker could end up being the worst film of the year. It very well could. It very well could be the worst film of the year. But, number one, as Kyle pointed out, JJ doesn't do test screenings of his Star Wars movies. That's number one. And when he does, it's only with close friends and associates. That's it. JJ is so tight-lipped on these movies, he does not do test screenings for them. Number two, there's a fundamental misunderstanding about how these test screenings work. These are selected people that sign legally binding non-disclosure agreements who are then in a controlled room. Even if you hate the movie, you can't just get up and walk out. You can't even do that. So that just doesn't happen. There is so much wrong with these stories that it becomes laughable. So please, if you ever see anybody perpetuating this myth, this fake myth, and by the way, if you see a report that comes out tomorrow saying, no, I heard that there was a test screening for The Last Jedi, and they're saying it's the greatest movie of all time, ignore it. That's equally as fake. It's equally as fake. Just like the fake, remember test screenings of Wonder Woman have happened, and they say it's one of the worst movies of all time. How'd that turn out? The movie was beloved. Or remember, there was a test screening at Justice League, and it got a standing ovation. Really? No, that was all BS too. Never, ever, ever, unless the director of the movie themselves say it happened, never, ever, ever believe any story or rumor about a test screening. Those are NDA'd. They're in controlled environments. Never. And because I guarantee you, all these stories always come from anonymous online sources. Always. Always. So unless it's Endgame, where the Russo brothers themselves said, we've done our test screenings and we've been getting very, very positive results. Okay, that's official. That's coming from the directors. Otherwise, I don't care if they're saying the movie's the worst movie ever. I don't care if they're saying the movie's the best movie ever. Ignore them, because that's not how these work, and JJ doesn't do those. So, as Kyle would say, it's all a fairy tale. It's all a fairy tale. Just ignore it. All right, next up. Matthew Melaragno writes, have a good time in Vegas. Thank you so much, man. Ann and I always have a good time when we go, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. I actually need a little bit of a break. All right, Ryan Cleary writes, Congratulations on 200,000 subscribers, buddy. Thank you so much, man. You deserve it. You work so hard. Vital part of my day and listening daily. Wishing you continued growth and success. Best movie pundit have spa. Thank you, man. That's awesome. And I seriously, I am continue to be driven by the fact that I know people invest a part of their day to watch the show. And knowing that motivates me to work hard. And I do work hard. I mean, I may be dumb and I may be ugly, but I work hard. I work my ass off. I do. And I do it because I love it, but I also do it because I feel an obligation to the people, the thousands of people around the world who take time out of their day to make this show a part of their day. So I put as much work as I can into it. Do I have room for improvement? Hell yes, I do. But I'm going to at least work my ass off and I'm going to try hard. So thank you for that, man. And I appreciate you being a part of it, my friend. All right. Angel Palma writes, just bought my ticket for the 100 million view party. Thank you so much, man. It's going to be awesome to have you there. I'm excited to be there. I will be driving there from San Diego and we'll be in the area early. So if you happen to need any assistance to set up, I'd be more than happy to help. Well, thank you so much for the offer. We got all that covered. Don't worry. I got a crew that's going to be taking care of all that. But it's great that you're coming down from San Diego. Gives me a chance to plug this one more time. Let me just plug this one more time. Again, for those guys who are watching late, coming in late, we are having our 100 million view celebration and what I'm calling an evening with John Campea, 100 million views of a nobody. Again, it's going to be on Tuesday, December 17th, and you can see the URL down there at the bottom of the box where you can go and get tickets for the event, and I hope to see many of you guys there. So thanks a lot for sharing that, Angel. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Okay, and drive safe from San Diego. Big Lou writes, oh, and Big Lou sends in a super large one. So Big Lou, you will be getting, I'll just touch on your question right now, but I will be turning your question into its own standalone video a little bit later. So keep that in mind. I will turn this into its own standalone video a little bit later. Keep your eyes open for that, but I'll touch on this now. December 12th, 2012 was the first time I saw AMC Movie Talk. You and the sweaty one, that's of course John Schnepp, were discussing the first trailer for Man of Steel. You've entertained, informed, and inspired me. I even started my own woodworking YouTube channel. Oh, dude, that is awesome. Well done. Ron Swanson would be proud, my friend. Congrats on 200,000. Happy Thanksgiving, and may the force be with you. Okay, so there's no question there, so I won't turn this into its own video. Honestly, Lou, one of the highest things that I take most pride in when somebody sends something in is when they say that I, in whatever way, shape, or form, to whatever degree, kind of helped inspire you to start your own thing. And a woodworking YouTube channel, that is awesome. You know what? Can you do me a favor, Big Lou? I would appreciate this deeply. Would you email me, john@thejohncampeashow.com? So it's john@thejohncampeashow.com. I would love it if you could email me a link to your channel, just knowing that I kind of helped inspire you to do it. I would love to see it. No, I'm not going to review it on my channel or anything like that. I just want to go see it. That's all. Would you mind sending that to me? Because seriously, that is one of the most exciting things I love hearing. And because I do want to, I encourage people as much to get involved creatively and to do something like that. And I think that is awesome. So, man, thank you so much for being around since maybe it wasn't the Man of Steel review, but it was our thoughts on the first Man of Steel thing. And it's awesome that you actually remember the exact date. That was almost 7 years ago. We're getting close to 7 years of that was ago. Man, time flies. Time flies. But seriously, Big Lou, thank you for the support. Thank you for being here. And please do send me a link to that YouTube channel because I really would like just to take a peek at it. Just to take a peek. That's all. I just want to take a little peek. Anyway, thanks for that, man. I appreciate it deeply. And have a happy Thanksgiving yourself, and may the force be with you as well. Always, my friend. All right, Suthius writes, in Avengers, in the scene where the elderly gentleman stands up to Loki, ironically plays a senior Nazi officer in The Man in the High Castle. The Man in the High Castle, by the way, I know that show's been out for a number of years. That is a show that I've been wanting to watch for a long time, and I just never have the time to get around to watching it. I've always heard very good things about it, and I've always wanted to check it out. But by the way, Suthius, that scene, there are no men like me. There are always men like you. Oh, I think that was the moment. And that was very early in that Avengers movie. But that was the moment to me that I went, because the opening scene was great. at the SHIELD hideout and Loki arriving. That was all great and all fun. But it was that moment, there are always men like you. That was the moment that I went, this could be something really special. This could be something really special. Because that was the type of line that you don't see in comic book movies often, at least not at that time, you know? And so that's kind of cool to know that he's the man in the high castle. I will have to keep my eye open for that. Jonathan Hernandez writes, happy Thanksgiving to all I have spoken, and happy Thanksgiving to you, Jonathan, and thanks for being here, man, and may you have a great day. Sondrol Productions writes, happy Thanksgiving, John. Enjoy this time with your family. Congratulations on 200,000. Hard work does pay off. Thank you so much, man, and I am looking forward to the weekend. And by the way, just so you know, just because I love doing it, I'm bringing my iPad with me. I recently got an iPad Pro, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'll never get an iPhone again, but I am loving the iPad, especially with their new iPad OS. It makes it such a good experience to use. Anyway, so I am, by the way, while I'm in Vegas, during my downtime and relaxing, I'm going to make a couple of videos from Vegas. So, by the way, if you guys want to continue, if you guys want to use... And I'm starting to run out of time here, so I'm probably going to have to do a companion video from Vegas. But if you guys want to send in more questions, I'm going to answer questions from Vegas. They won't have this same production value. I'm going to be doing it with my iPad, but you'll see me from Las Vegas and doing that. So thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate that. And thank you for being one of the contributing factors to us hitting 200,000 subscribers. All right, Trip Mac writes, happy Thanksgiving, Mr. Canada. Thank you so much, Trip Mac. I live about 40 minutes from Burbank, and we're currently getting almost a foot of snow. Really? Never seen this, so it's for sure a Christmas movie day. Haha. Already got my tickets for the 17th. Thank you so much, Trip Mac, for getting tickets to that, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. And yeah, it's crazy because it's nowhere near cold. I mean, it's cold in Burbank today, but it's nowhere near cold enough to have snow. But it is funny, like you don't have to go even an hour outside of where we are in the San Fernando Valley, and it can be a lot colder and having snow. And we might actually be having snow on the drive to Vegas today. Actually, we're going to have to double check to make sure the highways stay open before we leave for Vegas. So yeah, there's that too. But I will keep my eye open on that. And thank you, Trip Mac. We're looking forward to seeing you on the 17th, sir. All right. Andrew writes, where are we at? Been following you since the Stream.tv days. Those were good times with the AMC crew. I remember when we moved in there for the first time, and I still love the Stream.tv. I have a good relationship with those guys. Days with the Arrow episode reviews. First time tipping/commenting. This Thanksgiving, I'm thankful that YouTube still has awesome shows like yours. May the turkey be with you. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. And yeah, I still remember when we made the decision to move out of the storage closet and get a little bit more serious. And we moved we still did a lot of stuff from the storage closet, but we moved our main show, Movie Talk, into the Stream.tv. And that was a great time. It was a great experience. It was so good that we eventually had to move out because we realized we needed our own full-time dedicated production space. And that's when we moved into the space that we later became the main AMC studios and later became the Collider studios and all that kind of stuff. And I remember when I found that place and I brought it to AMC, I said, this is the place we need to move. And we moved in there and it was great. But the Stream.tv was a big part of that as well. And I still have a great relationship with those people. They're fantastic. And you guys know because I went back there for a while with the John Campea Show. And who knows? I might go back there again someday. I don't know. But yeah, that was a significant turning point for us at AMC at the time. So thank you for being along for the ride, Andrew. And I appreciate you supporting the channel, man. Thank you very much. All right. Matt Brown writes, you the best, John. Thank you so much, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your crew, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. And I'm looking forward to having a good, relaxed day. Even the drive. I even like the drive to Vegas. It's a great scenery and a nice time, and I just get to spend time with Ann in the car. And I'm probably going to watch maybe an episode of Arrow, listen to the new Star Wars novel. I got the new Star Wars book on Audible, so maybe listen to a little bit of that. It's going to be a good time. Blazing Inferno 90 writes, and sent in a really large one. So if this is actually a question, I will make this its own standalone video, Blazing. Here we go. Hey, John, I just wanted to wish you and your family happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. I actually have a question for the missus. What's cuter, Porgs, or Baby Yoda? I will tell you what, Blazing Inferno, because you sent in a $50 super chat or tip. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, if you send in a 50, and I don't expect a lot of people to do this, but if you send in a question that is attached to a $50 super chat or tip, I will actually turn your question to its own standalone video. And you can see on the front page of my YouTube channel, there's a playlist called User Submitted Questions. And we've already got like 8 of them up there. And we will turn. So I'm going to get Anne. Now, maybe I can get her to do it while we're in Vegas. But it might have to wait until we get back from Vegas. I'm going to get Anne on camera, Blazing Inferno, to answer that question for you. And I'll debate with her a little bit about Porgs versus Baby Yoda. And we'll see where we're at. But thank you so much for saying that, man. And keep your eyes open for that video. It will be getting made. Maybe this weekend while we're off on vacation, but it might wait till we're back here in studio. I just want to give you that heads up that it might have to wait till then, but keep your eyes open for it. All right. Benjamin GL writes, hey, John, Star Wars TV spot dropped 1 minute ago. Ooh, really? Okay. I'm not going to stop the show to go watch it right now, but I will definitely go and see that when we're done the show. Thank you for the heads up on that. So now everybody knows. Y'all know Benjamin just gave us the heads up. Brand new Star Wars spot is out. I got to go check that out here soon. Thanks for the heads up, dude. Ali Hussein writes, congrats for 200,000 subs. Your show is the best. Thank you so much, Ali. Appreciate it. And thank you for being here and being a part of the community. I appreciate that. Ali also writes, I know it's too early to ask, who would win in a fight, Mando or Boba Fett? You know, it's really hard to say because we never really saw Boba Fett fight, right? We've seen Mando fight. We've seen him take out 3 Bosk bounty hunters single-handedly. We've seen him storm a former Imperial compound, taking out all these stormtroopers. We saw him, now he needed help, but we saw him take on a Mudhorn alone. We saw him chase down and hunt down a Jawa sandcrawler. We've seen Mando do a lot of stuff. We haven't really seen a lot of what Boba Fett can do. So in the lack of any other evidence, for now, I'm just going to say Boba Fett wins that fight. Okay, guys, I only have time for a couple more questions. Then Anne, who is patiently waiting for us to pack up and hit the road, and I will get around to the rest of the questions in companion videos and upcoming videos. So keep your guys' eyes open for that. John McKinney writes, Esmeralda, Jessica Rabbit, Trudy Proud, and Penny Proud are the hottest Disney females. Don't worry, I'm aware they aren't real. And it's still, first, Esmeralda, you ain't wrong. And that was voiced by Demi Moore, was it not? Hold on a second, let me just double check that. Where is, I maybe because I misspelt it. Here we go. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Which year was it? I'm getting Hunchback 2, but where's Hunchback 1? Hold on a second. Where is it? Why can I not find it? There it is. 1997. Nope, that's the wrong one. I'm looking at the wrong one again. Why I'm wasting time sitting here looking for it. Anyway, I believe that was Demi Moore that did. Yeah, Esmeralda. Ooh. Like it was so, and they had to make her really sexy because then there's that really creepy song that the villain sings, "You'll burn." You know, that was really dark. By the way, that whole movie is really dark. That movie is really, really dark. But you're not wrong, and yes, you know, it reminds me of the song by the great Canadian band Bare Naked Ladies. Anime babes, they make me think the wrong thing, but sometimes Disney animation babes make us think the wrong thing. Okay, Benjamin G. Lau writes, we love you, John. Keep being unwatchable. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate it, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Jeff Knutson just sends in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate that. Samuel Phoenix writes, ever thought about having Anne as a guest? Well, by the way, Anne, again, no E on Anne. It's just A-N-N. I do stuff with Anne once in a while, like she does the Mandalorian spoiler stuff with me. The problem is Anne is a very important person over at Hasbro. She has a very big, important career, and she is at work when I do the John Campea Show. So it's mostly not possible. But every once in a while, like we did with the last Mandalorian spoiler review, she'll jump on there with me for that. And but unfortunately, it's not really feasible to have her on here on the John Campea Show. Let's see here. Zachary Bartran writes, congratulations on 200,000. Glad to be one of them. Followed you from Collider. Here's to 100,000 more. Thank you so much, Zachary. And thank you for being a regular member of our community here and always contributing and you know, on the live chat board and sending in questions. And thank you so much for that, man. Really appreciate it. And yes, here's to the next 100,000. Whether it takes us 10 months or whether it takes us another 5 years to get there, who knows? All right. Suthius writes, been with you since you were a wee 50-year-old foundling. Just, baby. They still got to explain that, by the way. Because if that baby is 50 years old, then Yoda should look like an 18-year-old, depending on the age. So they got to explain that. I got to see how they're going to go with that. Selwyn McShave writes, you have 10 Scotiabank arenas worth of subscribers. That's one way of looking at it. That's one. So you take Scotiabank Arena, which has about a 20,000 seats capacity, and it's 10 of those is how many people subscribe to this channel. It's kind of cool when you put it that way, isn't it? All right, last couple of ones here, guys, and then I got to run and get packed, but I will pick up on this just as soon as I can. All right, Tinisflato Mendoza writes, happy Thanksgiving, John, and the John Campea Show family. This nobody from Southern California appreciates what you do since the Man of Steel days. You have helped me through some not so great times. Thank you. Oh, thanks so much for that, Tinisflato. And, you know, again, it sounds like a broken record. I don't care. I say this all the time, and I'm going to continue to say it all the time because it's always going to be true. The most amazing thing about movies, besides the wonderful subjectivity of them, is that they give us a reprieve. They give us something to wrap our imaginations around. And movies and storytelling and the movie fan community has really always had a powerful way for me personally, and that I've heard from many of you, that helps us through when we've got crap going on in our lives. Movies and the movie fan community don't fix our crap, but what they do is they give us an opportunity to focus on something wonderful and imaginative and creative, and it gives our minds and our souls a little bit of a break so they become refreshed, and then we can come back to the crap in our lives, and we can approach it with a little bit more renewed, a little bit more refreshed, and maybe with a little bit of a different perspective. They don't fix our problems, but I think they help us deal with the problems that we have and when we're going through crappy stuff. And that's one of the things I've always valued about movies. And it's one of the things I've always valued about the movie fan community. So I'm glad that the movie fan community and movies themselves and television has been able to be a part of that for you as well. So thank you for sharing that, Tinisflato, and I'm glad you're part of the community. All right, Aiden Foley writes, John, many things I've learned were from you. I've learned to be an open-minded, mainly due to you. You've helped me a lot in my life. Thank you. Oh, dude, seriously, that's one of the nicest things you could possibly say. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate that very, very much. And that's very, very kind of you to say. And thank you for being here and being a part of the community, man. And again, thank you. Seriously, very much. I don't know what to say to that. All right, Ryan Cleary writes, to thine own self be true. Frankie Sinatra, I did it my way. It's true. Maybe we could be bigger if I had 30-second videos and if I did reaction videos and I did more of the sensationalized headlines and whatever, but I want to do the shows that I want to watch. And I was told over and over and over again, no one would watch this. And here we are. And we're still tiny and we're still small and we're still insignificant, and that's fine. But you know what? We're having fun doing it. And I think some good things are happening. So thank you for that. Suthius writes, evening with John Campea. You better be in a suit with a smoke pipe. I'm going to set up a big leather chair, and I'll be in a silk robe and with a big pipe. I don't smoke. I would choke to death, something like that. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll wear a suit. I don't know. Probably not, but we'll see. All right. Last question. Well, last two questions of the day. Mark Blazer writes, happy 200,000, John. Thank you so much, Mark. I started following your channel after your Infinity War trailer reaction. Been a fan since of you and your crew. More subs and views for you, my movie friend. Mubuhai, I believe that is of course Tagalog, I believe. Yes. Anyway, I'm not going to pretend that I know what it means, but I think I've heard it before. Anyway, thank you so much, man, for being around since then. And I just listen. I work very hard, but I love what I do. And I love being able to jump on here every day, knowing I've got this great film fan community that I get to be a part of every day. And I know that's why Rob loves coming in here, and Aaron and Chris love doing it as well, and why Ray works so hard, and why fact checker Jonathan works so hard. And thank you guys for making it all possible for us to do. So thank you for that, Mark. All right, final question of the day. And then Aviator 986, we will get to you first when I do the next follow-up video, maybe from Vegas, so keep your eyes open. All right, Emmanuel Soto Sanchez writes, have you ever seen a movie on the big screen that made you go, that was a great movie experience? There are only two I'm glad I saw. They are How to Train Your Dragon and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Oh, dude, for me, first of all, those are great. Those are great ones. For me, though, many. From Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, to The King's Speech, I can run out. Life is Beautiful, Star Wars. I mean, I'm not saying I'm prototypical of everybody. I'm rather different, but I love the movie going experience. I love watching movies at home too. I do. But watching movies at home is shit compared to watching it in a movie theater with an audience full of fellow film fans, and the lights go down and the sound, and you're experiencing it, and you're laughing and shrieking and thinking and all this kind of stuff. And so movies, to me, particularly in a movie theater, I particularly get very immersed in them. And because I just love that experience so much. So when you mentioned a couple of good ones, but I say when you ask me if I've ever seen a movie in a big screen that made you just go, that was a great movie experience, it actually happens to me quite often. Not every day, not even every week, but it happens to me at least maybe a dozen times a year, maybe more. And I always enjoy myself, even when I'm watching a crappy movie. I still enjoy going to the movies and being at the movies. But yeah, that's a big part of it as well. All right, guys. That will wrap it up for now. And again, Aviator, we're going to get the very next video I do, and I'll probably do one from Vegas. But my very next video, we're going to pick up with you, Aviator, and Yuri Manian, and Green Arrow, and all the way up. We'll get to your things next. Unfortunately, I do have to pack up here and start getting ready to make the big drive to Vegas with Ann. Ann is patiently waiting for me, so I got to go. Guys, again, first thing I want to mention is bring your attention one more time for those of you just joining us. To celebrate the 100 million view mark, we are having an evening. I know it's a dumb title, whatever. An evening with John Campea, 100 million views of a nobody. That's going to be on Tuesday, December 17th. You see a URL there where you can go and get tickets. I hope many of you decide to come, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it very much. And also, just of course, we're kind of commemorating today that today is the day, just before we started the show, the channel crossed 200,000. A tiny number, an insignificant number compared to most and to many, but pretty significant when you consider the types of videos that we do, the length of the videos that we do, and the fact that we were told by everybody from YouTube and a lot of naysayers that this would never work. And yet here we are. And we have you guys to thank for that. So thank you very much, guys. And it's kind of appropriate that it's happening on Thanksgiving. And I am very grateful and thankful for these milestones, sure, but I'm very grateful for you guys, the community, being here and being a part of it, and your support and your contributions, and both by talking in the live chat and sending in the questions and all that kind of stuff. And it's been pretty awesome. Now, listen, I'm going to say right now, I'm not quite sure what my release schedule is going to be over the next couple of days. I might be able to squeeze in 1 or 2 videos while I'm in Vegas. Might have to wait till I get back, but I am aiming to do, because I got my iPad. I'm looking forward to doing some videos with it. It'll look crappy, but hey, it'll be done. So keep your eyes open for that as well, guys. All right, so I just got to remember that the last question I took, the next one up has got to be that question from Aviator. So I'll make sure that's the first question I get to next, guys. Guys, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Travel safe. Have wonderful time with family. Eat good food, relax, and enjoy yourselves, my friends. And until next time, my name's John Campea, and when we meet again, it'll be awesome. So until then, guys, bye-bye.